everyone! Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I wanted to answer a question that a lot of you have been asking. What makes the twins so strong? You've probably seen on other content creators' killer tier lists that the twins are ranked quite highly, usually in A or S tier. So I wanted to answer this question for you all. If you don't know me, by the way, I'm Lynxi, and I've been a twins main since their release. I've held a few world records on them also, so I'd say I'm quite qualified to discuss this topic. I've also gotten the opinion of a few of my fellow content creator friends to ensure I haven't missed anything before putting together this list. Before we jump into the video, I just want to quickly say I'm sorry I've been away for so long. I've been struggling with my health, but now I'm finally starting to feel a little bit better. I should be fully done with my cancer treatment this summer. I just really appreciate all the support. But with all that being said, let's get straight into the video. So, the main thing that makes twins insanely strong is Victor. In my opinion, Victor is the strongest chase power in the entire game. It's very, very difficult to avoid Victor, even if you use pallets and windows. A skilled twins player can easily hit you over these. The biggest counter is using lookers, but even then a good twins player can counter this. If an entire team is injured against the twins, they can easily slug and potentially end the game right there. It's just very, very difficult to dodge Victor and chase. Twins are very strong at applying split pressure. This is because they can be at two places on the map at the same time. For example, I could be hooking with Charlotte, switch to Victor, and then attach to somebody working on a generator on the complete opposite side of the map. Paired with perks like barbecue and chili, you can really apply pressure on all points of the map. You could even be chasing somebody as Charlotte and herd the survivor into Victor, who's on the other side of the map. The twins are very good at tracking. When Victor is idle, he gives us a 12-meter streak radius, which applies killer instinct to survivors in range. You can crouch up to avoid this, but there is no grace period. She will be revealed as soon as you're in his streak radius. This also applies when he's attached to a survivor. For example, let's say you hear two killer instincts across the map while Victor is attached to somebody. That means you now know the position of 3 survivors. This also works through floors, so on maps like Midwich or Hawkins, you can hear survivors on the 2nd floor. You can also hear people hiding in lockers, so you can find survivors' locations very consistently on twins. The twins force survivors to work as a team. They're very hard to counter in the average solo queue match. The way you counter the twins is through teamwork. For example, let's say a Meg is next to you and she's injured and you're healthy. The best play is to body block and take the Victor hit. This also applies to injured survivors going into lockers. This doesn't happen in solo queue usually. You also want to reset as soon as possible, but that's unlikely this will happen as quickly as you would like in solo queue. This is also why I would argue the twins are slightly weaker in competitive play, as players tend to be much more coordinated and actually know their counters. The twins force survivors to do nothing, aka hold Victor hostage, and sometimes people do this wrong. You really need to read the room as a survivor and understand whether or not it's a good idea to hold him or get rid of him as soon as possible. When Victor is attached to a survivor, they get a status effect called Incapacitated, which makes it so they can't do generators or heal other survivors. The only thing you can do is loop, unhook, and open exit gates. If you get rid of Victor right away, then you give the twins back their power immediately. But if none of the survivors are injured and the twins are in chase, then that could be a good idea. On the flip side, if you hold Victor for too long, after 30 seconds, Charlotte can recall Victor at any time. And they can also see Victor's aura. A good twins player will use this to their advantage and only recall Victor when they need him. This leads into another point. The twins are such a rare killer at around 1% pick rate, so I would say the majority of players really don't understand how to counter them or how they work in general. As I mentioned earlier, crouching to avoid killer instinct is something survivors rarely do. So when they try to kick Victor while he's idle, they won't crouch out to him, they'll just run up, and you can just switch to Victor and hit them immediately. The twins are very versatile on most maps. There aren't many maps where the twins are really weak. I would argue their worst map is the Forgotten Ruins with the portals that came out of Vecna. As Victor, you cannot go through these portals. So if you're injured and you go into a portal, Victor can't follow you. It's really annoying and strong. There is some weird collision on certain maps, but other than that, the twins are honestly very good on the majority of maps. Twins cooldown is incredibly short at just 6 seconds. This does get increased to 20 seconds if you get kicked by a survivor, but if you are recalling him, you will retain the short cooldown of 6 seconds. This makes twins very flexible. Say you find an injured survivor while controlling Charlotte and Victor is idle far away. You can simply recall him and end that chase very quickly. Twins are also very good at proxy camping. The range to release Victor from Charlotte while under the hook is the same range for anti-camping, so it's very convenient. Charlotte can also benefit from perks such as Devour Hope and Make a Choice, even if Victor is close to the hook. Hearing all this, you might ask yourself, okay, but why aren't the twins a top 3 killer? So I want to quickly explain that. The twins aren't the best killer at tunneling, and this is because the endurance status effect is very strong against Victor. If you get hit by Victor while you have endurance, you can get a free kick on him. Perks like Off the Record prevent Victor from hitting you for 80 seconds. The same goes for Dead Hard and Siptix. Healing is also a huge counter to the twins. As mentioned earlier, healing perks like Will Make It and Circle of Healing make it much easier to counter them. Of course, anti-slugging perks too, such as Boon Exponential, Unbreakable, Soul Guard, and Power Struggle. And We're Gonna Live Forever counter twins heavily, especially if multiple survivors have them. The twins are also high risk, high reward. With the latest update, they nerfed it so that when Victor is kicked, he now has a longer cooldown at 20 seconds, compared to the normal cooldown, which is 6 seconds. So if you're too greedy as a twins player, you'll be punished. This is also the case if a twin slugs too aggressively and makes a mistake, letting all of those slugs reset, and they don't progress the game at all with hooking. A good twins will know when to hook and when to slug. And that's pretty much it. I hope you found this video interesting and learned a little bit about the twins. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I have some guide videos on twins on my channel if you're interested in playing them yourself. Subscribe if you would like to support me and see future videos from me. And as always, happy pouncing! Hopeless illusion.